Gorgeous, gorgeous. Oh, it'll keep on the land down under the land of wonder, the man-made Crocodile hunter, crocodile.
Hey mates, I'm Stephanie Irvin, second cousin of the crack hunter Steve. Today we have a special guest star, Cynthia Mills from Channel 36 News.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Mills, and I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at 6th grade here at Lakeview Junior High.
Remember, let's take a gander at the 6th grade teachers at Lakeview Junior High School. Don't be surprised if they get a little grumpy because remember, we're barging in on their space. They're just minding their own business in their natural habitats, and all of a sudden we come. The results can be terrifying. Okay, mates, let's start our tour.
Lakeview Locker Bank. You come to your locker before school, between 3rd and 4th period, at lunch, and at the end of the day. Everyone has their own locker with their own locker combination.
Oh no, my locker won't open. We better get Pete.
Pete is the janitor here at Lakeview. If you can't open your locker, just ask him to open it for you.
Hi, are you having problems with your locker?
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll be happy to open it for you. Thanks. I have a key. Anytime you have a problem, just let me know. I have a key. I can open it for you.
As you can see, you keep your backpack, books, coat, and possibly your instruments in your locker. There's also a top compartment that you can store your stuff in. Well, let's now take a look at the gym, where you wait before school. This is one of the habitats where you don't need to be so quiet. Here we are, Lakeview's old gym. This is where you wait from the time your bus gets to school to the time when the second bell rings at 7:50 to go to home base. You can talk to your friends in the gym before school, or you can go to the IMC at 7:30 if you sign up. In addition, you can go to any teacher's room at 7:35 when the first bell rings. If you are in concert band, you'll have practice during this time on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now let's head to the next habitat. Now we have entered the territory of Mr. Tedeschi and the concert band. Most of the 5th grade band students will be in this band next year. As I mentioned earlier, you will have practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings before school. You also have concerts throughout the year. Now let's check out Miss Shaughnessy's home base. This is Miss Shaughnessy's home base. Let's interview Lauren about all the details.
Hi, this is Miss Shaughnessy's home base. In home base, you play games, talk about character counts, have parties, and talk about things that have to do with school. We also have silent reading on Thursday.
This is Miss Shaughnessy. You might have her or one of the other teachers for home base next year. Okay, I think it's time to move on to our next habitat, Mr. Irvis' science room.
I'll have a chance. I'd like to thank our extremely brave camera crew. We must go everywhere that I go just to catch this never-before-seen footage of teachers and students in their natural habitats. We must even go to the 7th and 8th grader habitats, and it isn't easy. We must be very careful because those 7th and 8th graders can get a little snappy. Though we must watch out for them and be very careful. You've got to remember they are bigger than us and can be in some bad moods. Remember how the food chain goes. They're bigger, and bigger creatures eat the smaller ones. You'll learn all about it and much more in Science with Mr. Irvis next year.
Hey, Mr. Irvis, can you tell the 5th graders about what they'll be learning next year in science?
Hi, in science next year you'll be learning machines. We'll be learning a little bit about geology, astronomy. We do a Lego unit, a little bit about fossils, rocks and minerals, things like that.
Thanks, Mr. Irvis. Okay, now let's move on to Mr. Armstrong's environment, the social studies.
I travel to schools all around the world, and no school has ever had a better social studies teacher than Mr. Armstrong. In social studies, you learn about all different countries around the whole world. Let's talk to Mr. Armstrong about all the details.
Meet Mr. Armstrong, our hilarious 6th grade social studies teacher. Right, Mr. Armstrong?
Oh, I'm hilarious. Oh, did you hear about the guy that was so dumb in the Navy? He put screen doors on the submarines.
It's about the things we learn in social studies in 6th grade.
Well, in 6th grade social studies, we study other parts of the world. So far this year, we've concentrated on the continent of Europe and different countries there, and we're doing a unit right now on the state of Illinois, starting the Illinois Constitution test.
Thanks, Mr. Armstrong. I'm sure all you 5th graders are looking forward to social studies next year with Mr. Armstrong.
Hey,
Now we're going to take a gander at the surroundings of computers, consumer ed, and art. Whoa, wait, wasn't that amazing? It's great to see teachers and students in their natural habitats. Anyway, let's move on to the AM Encore classes.
Now 5th graders, in 2 of the 3 scenes you are about to see, there will be 7th and 8th graders, so we've got to be very careful and watch out at all times. This is the computers room. Your teacher in computers is Mrs. Fulmer. In computers, you learn about software programs. Now let's check out consumer ed.
Now we have entered the consumer ed room. Mrs. Yulee is the consumer ed teacher. In class, you learn about babysitting, cooking, nutrition, and sewing. Some of the fun things you do in consumer ed are making a pizza and sewing a lunch bag. Let's take a trip to our last morning encore class, Art with Mrs. Lear.
The top line first. That line is the diagonal. Then I'd like you to take your sealant.
Here we are in the art room. That's Miss Lair. Here you learn about the elements of art, shading, and lots more. Well, that's all the encore classes for right now. Next, we're going to get a sneak peek at the math class.
Four line is the last line of the box. Draw one last diagonal, and that's your last diagonal. Okay? Everybody draw your second.
This is the passing period here at Lakeview.
Math classroom. Mrs. Ganand is the math teacher. Let's talk to Cynthia about all the details.
Well, Stephanie, we do a lot of different things in math. There's an advanced and a regular math class. The regular math class uses this textbook, and the advanced math class uses this textbook. We'll let Mrs. Ganand take over from there and tell us what we learn about in math class in 6th grade.
In 6th grade, what we're currently doing is we're solving equations with 2 variables. We're solving linear equations. We're finishing up the chapter. We've just taken the chapter test, and next chapter will involve fractions, positive and negative fractions.
Thank you, Mrs. Ganand. Now let's move on to our next habitat, language arts and reading.
So let's see, is it a visit to the zoo? What is the title?
In a moment, we will be going to Mrs. George's Language Arts and Reading Room. Like math, Language Arts and Reading has advanced and regular classes. This is your English book. Let's go interview Mrs. Georges about all the details.
This is Mrs. Georges, one of the 6th grade Language Arts and Reading teachers. Mrs. Georges, can you tell us about what we do in 6th grade Language Arts and Reading?
Certainly. It's a continuation of 5th grade, actually. We do spelling every week. We do vocabulary with a book called Word Skills. We have nice big fat literature books that you carry around that we do almost every day. We do some SRA for reading skills. We write essays. We do poetry. All kinds of different things. You have lots and lots of books and lots of things to do for Language Arts and Reading because it is 2 periods. It's the only class that is a double period.
Thanks for the info, Mrs.
You're
Georges.
welcome.
Mrs. Hoggett is also one of the Language Arts and Reading teachers you might have in 6th grade. Hoggett's classroom. Mrs. Hoggett is one of the 6th grade Language Arts and Reading teachers that you might have next year. Mrs. Hoggett, can you tell us all about what you learned in Language Arts and Reading in 6th grade?
Well, in 6th grade we have a spelling book just like you do in 5th grade. We teach English, which is the grammar aspect of Language Arts. We write essays and we read short stories and answer questions.
Thanks, Mrs. Hoggett. Now let's go back to Stephanie. Literature textbook you'll have in 6th grade. This is the regular lit textbook, but if you're in the advanced class, your literature textbook will look about the same.
I'm getting hungry after visiting all these habitats. Let's go take a look at the lunchroom.
You have more lunch choices here at Lakeview than you do at Prairie View. Here, pizza and chicken patty are available every day, as well as another special, which you can change from day to day. You can buy chocolate milk or regular milk for 25 cents. Lunches are $2. There are also snacks such as cookies and chips for different prices. Right now, we are in Lunch A. All 6th graders eat during Lunch A. If you are in symphonic band or the 7th grade band, when you are in 6th grade, you have to leave lunch about 10 minutes early. But this means that you can also go up for hot lunch before your table is called, so you will have enough time to eat. After lunch, if you are not in symphonic band, you go to study hall. All the 6th grade teachers have a study hall classroom, but you are assigned to one. Let's visit Mr. Armstrong's study hall to learn more.